and state of mind of Nigerian children in primary and secondary schools. I had to. Did you hear how long it took for me to explain what Insomnic is? All right. Given the realities of COVID-19, this program is a think tank that provides solutions on how best to go about reopening schools in such a way that no Nigerian child is left out during this pandemic. Yes.
So will people be able to have questions like, what will classroom management be like? Will there be things supplied for the children? Will PPE be used? How will exam materials be carried?
Well,
so many questions.
We're going to answer all those questions and more. As a matter of fact, there is an initiative called Adopt to School Initiative where governments, private individuals, and all concerned individuals can decide to take on the school and make sure that they have the best and safest reopenings ever.
How do I do that?
Well, let me see.
Well, you can watch us streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Here Nigeria, and on Twitter at Nigeria Here. You can also call us on 080 5599 6121 and messages to 080 5599 6919. Watch me live on these days from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, you could also visit us at www.hearnigeria.com. Adopt your school today. Help Nigerian education.
Hello everyone. Here's a little more information on the COVID-19 Insomnic.
Did you have another thing to disease?
No, did not, please. Insomnic is just an acronym for effects on the mental, psychological, and state of mind of Nigerian children in primary and secondary schools. I had to. Did you hear how long it took for me to explain what Insomnic is? Alright, given the realities of COVID-19, this program is a think tank that provides solutions on how best to go about reopening schools in such a way that no Nigerian child is left out during this pandemic. Yes.
So will people be able to participate? I have questions like, what will classroom management be like? Will there be things supplied for the children? Will PPE be used? How will exam materials be carried?
Well,
so many questions.
We're going to answer all those questions and more. As a matter of fact, there is an initiative called the Adopt to School Initiative where governments, private individuals, and all concerned individuals can decide to take on the school and make sure that they have the best and safest reopenings ever.
How do I do that?
Well, let me see.
Participate, but you can watch us streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Here Nigeria, and on Twitter at Nigeria Here. You can also call us on 080 5599 6121 and messages to 080 5599 6919. Watch me live on these days from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, you could also visit us at www.hearnigeria.com. Adopt your school today. Help Nigerian education.
Hello everyone. Here's a little more information on the COVID-19 Insomnic.
Did you have another thing to disease?
No, we did not, please. Insomnic is just an acronym for effects on the mental, psychological, and state of mind of Nigerian children in primary and secondary schools. I had to. Did you hear how long it took for me to explain what Insomnic is? Alright, given the realities of COVID-19, this program is a think tank that provides solutions on how best to go about reopening schools in such a way that no Nigerian child is left out during this pandemic. Yes.
So will people be able to participate? I have questions like, what will classroom management be like? Will there be things supplied for the children? Will PPE be used? How will exam materials be carried?
Well,
so many questions.
We're going to answer all those questions and more. As a matter of fact, there is an initiative called the Adopt to School Initiative where governments, private individuals, and all concerned individuals can decide to take on the school and make sure that they have the best and safest reopenings ever.
How do I do that?
Well, let me see.
You can watch us streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Here Nigeria, and on Twitter at Nigeria Here. You can also call us on 080 5599 6121 and messages to 080 5599 6919. Watch me live on these days from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, you could also visit us at www.hearnigeria.com. Adopt your school today. Help Nigerian education.
Hello everyone. Here's a little more information on the COVID-19 Insomnic.
Did you have another thing to disease?
No, we did not, please. Insomnic is just an acronym for effects on the mental, psychology, and state of mind of Nigerian children in primary and secondary schools. I had to. Did you hear how long it took for me to explain what Insomnic individuals can decide to take on.
Morning and welcome to the COVID-19 mental, the effects of the mental psychology and the state of mind of the Nigerian child. I am Abigail Ishaku, and it's such a delight to be back here in the ZA virtual chat room. We say thank you to all of you joining in today. We say you're welcome and thank you for joining. We want to start by recognizing the presence of the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Honorable Chukwu Emeka Owajuba. Thank you for joining us today, sir. You're welcome. Permit me to stand on all existing protocols. We say welcome to our distinguished guest speakers, our educators, our parents, and of course our wonderful children. Welcome. This week in review has seen us move from engaging discussions to practical steps for implementation.
Yes, my name is Cheryl. Good morning and welcome once again. For all the done in the weeks that have gone by, today is the culmination because we are going to be unveiling the adopted school initiative, and we can't wait to have all our wonderful guest speakers on board, all our wonderful children, parents, and everybody that has been involved in this so far join us. So before we do that, here's a recap, especially for people who are joining us for the first time today from our secretariat, Ms. Kelly. Good morning, Ms. Kelly.
Good morning, Ms. Kelly.
Good morning, Abby. How are you guys today? I'm so very excited. I'm so very excited to be here. It has been 1 week of talk, how to solve this problem, how to sort this out, and now week 2 is all about implementation, and we've finally reached the goal. That is so amazing. On Wednesday, we talked a lot about seeing the blueprint, actually visualizing what a virtual learning center would look like, what the requirements were, what kind of facilities we'll need to run the virtual learning centers in different communities in Nigeria. And it was such a delight to see on board, from teachers training to having laptops to the equipment. Our 2 resource speakers for that, resource persons for that, they were very amazing. Want to thank Mr. Biu Adeleke for showing us how this system has worked in countries like India, where a laptop was brought into a simple kiosk and children learned how to speak English, picked up computer skills, picked up amazing skills that I cannot even believe myself. So it will work in Nigeria. I'm so confident that it will work in Nigeria. Mrs. Koforola Ajayi, pardon me, ma'am. Mrs. Koforola Ajayi, a seasoned teacher, taught us how teachers training and continuous personal development of Nigerian teachers will help move our Nigerian teachers forward and equip them with this necessary skills that they need to run virtual learning centers. I have no doubt in my mind that Nigerian communities are in for a boost educationally with the virtual learning centers. Today is all about the adopted school program. Who's excited? Cheryl, Abigail, what do you guys say?
Excited. Yeah, definitely very excited. Okay, so just to clarify, the program, what we're doing here in the virtual chat room is the COVID-19 effects on mental, psychology, and state of mind of a Nigerian child. So what that does is it has helped us to take a proper look at everything that is going on with the Nigerian child since the COVID-19 came in, and there has been a insight on what today is going to be about.
Many schools lack proper infrastructure and the education provided to the students are below par. One of the many ways to help improve the educational sector in Nigeria, apart from providing a more sustainable process for the educational sector, is by private individuals and certain organizations adopting schools. The Adopt to School initiative is a very popular initiative across the globe. There seems organizations or persons pick up schools in certain communities to provide resources for the betterment of the students and teachers in the school. In Nigeria, Nestle, Airtel, Wando, GT Bank, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, amongst many other directly or collaboratively, have set goals to adopt all platforms for people to be a part of this initiative. Today's topic, we'll be talking on the Adopt to School initiative and speaking on strategies and key deliverables for stakeholders in this initiative. Our panelists for today's session are education is a human industry. The more sophisticated it is, the more quality product it provides. Hence, quality education is a necessity for both human and societal development. If we must expect transformation in our political, social, economic, and scientific spheres in Nigeria, quality education at all levels is needed. In Nigeria, the education sector has left a lot to desire, as many schools lack proper infrastructure and the education provided to the students are below par. One of the many ways to help improve the educational sector in Nigeria, apart from providing a more sustainable process for the educational sector, is by private individuals and certain organizations adopting schools. The Adopt to School initiative is a very popular initiative across the globe. There seems organizations or persons pick up schools in certain communities to provide resources for the betterment of the students and teachers in the school. In Nigeria, Nestle, Airtel, Wando, GT Bank, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, amongst many other directly or collaboratively, have set goals to adopt all platforms for people to be a part of this initiative. Today's topic, we will be talking on the Adopt to School initiative and speaking on strategies and key deliverables for stakeholders in this initiative. Our panelists for today's session are education is a human industry. The more sophisticated it is, the more quality product it provides. Hence, quality education is a necessity for both human and societal development. If we must expect transformation in our political, social, economic, and scientific spheres in Nigeria, quality education at all levels is needed. In Nigeria, the education sector has left a lot to desire, as many schools lack proper infrastructure.
Today is exciting because we have an array of speakers from all the various sectors who will be with us. Unveiling this initiative that was voted in the course of the past week to help ensure that our children in primary and secondary schools all over the country get to resume schools in the best possible environment for them.
Yes, of course. We're so excited to have all our wonderful guests in the house today. We want to start by asking our Honorable Minister of Education, Honorable Chukwemeka Wajiba, to kindly open the program for us in a minute, and then we go straight to the guest speakers who are going to be doing the unveiling. Good morning, Honorable Minister. Okay, our Minister of State for Education is going to be joining us very shortly to open up the program for us, and then we go straight into the unveiling. Today, as we said, is a very exciting day. We've been doing a lot of talk, we've been doing a lot of practical solutions and all of that, but we finally get to kickstart this beautiful initiative that was birthed from this program. Again, we're going to ask that the Honorable Minister of State for Education join us on the program. Okay, I see. Okay, I see on my tab that he's not here at the moment. I'm sure he's going to be joining us very, very soon. All right, while we wait for Honorable Minister of State to open the program, let's reel out our guests who are with us in the virtual chat room today, who are going to be joining us on the program. We'd like to especially welcome back Honorable Kevin Oluwaseun Gabriel, the Vice Chairman of Apapa local government area. He is going to be, we're going to be using his local government to pilot the scheme. I'm very sure that he can't wait to get started on that. Welcome very much, sir, if you're with us in the chat room. We also have, or expecting, Alhaji Shuaib Usman Liman, the National Secretary of the NIGERIAN, to come from a media perspective on this particular unveiling that we're doing today. We also have with us, again, another wonderful contributor to this program so far, Mrs. Olushola Bankole, proprietor. Yes, Mrs. Olushola Bankole, she's been such a wealth of knowledge and information on the program so far. Welcome back, Ma, if you're here. It's good to have you back. And Mrs. Ian Kawakunde, she is the chairman and president of the Concerned Parents Initiative or Association. Forgive me, Ma. But she's also likely to be joining us on the program today if she's not already in the chat room. A very special welcome to all of our guests. Of course, we have some familiar faces in the chat room as well. I see Mrs. Olushola Bankole is there. We have our children, the likes of Sijuma. Sijuma is in the chat room as well. Welcome. Mr. Ibidu, we see you. You're going on and off. Please stand by, sir, because as soon as the Honorable Minister of State for Education opens the program, we're going to be coming straight to you for the unveiling. We also have with us in the chat room Mrs. Koforola Ajay. It's such a pleasure to have you back, ma'am. Welcome once again. All right, so we seem to not have the Honorable Minister of State for Education is trying to join us. I'm very sure that will be brought up to speed as soon as he does. Let's go straight into it. I'm sure when he joins us at some point, we're going to be talking very, very extensively with him. All right, so let's have the unveiling straight away. Mr. Ibidu Adeleke is supposed to help us with the unveiling of the program. Good morning, Mr. Ibidu. Are you there? Hello, good morning. Okay, we see Mr. Adeleke. Good morning. Okay, the minister seems to be having technical issues, but Mr. Ibidu is there. Mr. Ibidu, if you could kindly unmute your mic. We see that you're talking, but we're unable to hear you. Okay, while we're waiting for Mr. Ibidu to connect from us, we have someone else in the chat room, Mrs. Adiola. Perhaps you can come in, Ma, and give us your presentation on the use of PPE while we wait for our Honorable Minister of State to open the program and for Mr. Ibidu Adeleke to do the unveiling. Good morning, Mrs. Adiola. Are you there?
Okay. Can you hear me now? 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 Can you hear me now?
We would like to have Mrs. Adiola on. She has a short presentation for us before we come to you for the unveiling. We apologize. to us a little bit about personal protective equipment, so that we don't unveil the program in the absence of the Honorable Minister of State for Education. Thank you very much, Mr. Adeleke. We'll be coming to you shortly. All right, Mrs. Adiola, are you with us? Good morning.
Hello, Mrs. Adiola, can you hear us?
Are ready and waiting in the virtual chat room. We understand Mrs. Bankole is around. Good morning, Mrs. Bankole.
Hello, Mrs. Bankole, good morning, ma.
All right, Mrs. Bankole is not there. Okay, BC Hannah. Good morning, ma. Welcome.
Oh, I can hear you clearly.
Can you hear us now, ma?
Can you hear us now, ma?
All right, so can you come again? Because I couldn't, the volume is so low from over there.
Okay, ma. We just wanted to do like a quick chit chat with you, as well as some of the other participants in the virtual chat room, while we're waiting for Honorable Minister of State for Education, Honorable Wajba, to open up the program for us properly. So we're talking about the fact that today is the unveiling of the Adopt a School initiative. We're very excited about that, on where we are with this initiative so far. You've been with us pretty much from the first day of this program. So what are your thoughts on this? How excited are you? And what are the things that you expect to see today, especially with the likes of all the dignitaries that we have on board on the program today?
Since last week we've been on days, we've been trying to look at how to solve. I've been at home, and we'll, along the line, eventually we're asked to resume. And we realized that the students, a lot of them were worried. They were depressed at points, some of them thinking that, okay, so if they're not going to resume school, I mean, is this how they're going to lose one whole year and all of that? But we thank God, and we appreciate the Ministry of Education for looking into the plan and then ensuring safe reopening of schools. So far, it's been wonderful. We've been able to do quite a lot. We have had parents, we have had teachers come on board, talking about what can be done to support our students and all of that. And along the line, the program Adopt a School came up. Personally, I am so eager to see small schools that are committed to quality education anyway come up, get support to render quality that they really wish to render, but because of lack of fund, lack of resources, they've not been able to do that. I know that there are a few of such schools that in FCT we are trying to bring up, even among private schools, this time. And of course, there are a lot of public schools that we really need this support. So I'm also joining ZA to take the call out there to say, please support. And then I'm a member of CPE, Concerned Parents and Educators Network. And CPE has done a lot in this regard. CPE has, reached out to schools, especially in Lagos, supporting them with, payment of fees for students in the school, providing back to school packs, bags, and all of that. Even special needs. CPE has actually reached out to, a lot of children and a lot of schools. So taking this wider, reaching out to every corner of Nigeria, knowing also that our education system needs great support. Is a thing I know that by the time we're able to do this and touch those schools, touch those children, it will be for the benefit of Nigeria as a nation. So we are calling on every good-spirited Nigerian organizations that want to see Nigeria develop. So please come in, adopt a school. You may want to build some row of classrooms, or you may want to supply resources, books, stationaries, even uniforms. And for instance, I'm actually packaging some of my uniforms. I've done that for a school, for an IDP school, before a school in an IDP in FCT. We have packaged that again, and we are taking that out. But we want people to please support this project. What we are doing when we do that is we are supporting Nigeria. That's it. Thank you so much.
It was a beautiful contribution.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Ms. Fakoy. All right, we're still waiting on the Honorable Minister of State Education to open up the program for us. We have some other people who are present in the virtual chat room. Just like Ms. Fakoy said, we have so much to talk about. We're very excited about that. We have with us in the virtual chat room the Vice Chairman of the Akota Local Government in Lagos, Honorable Kevin, who we have mentioned earlier on
is going to be running the pilot for this. We are sure that he's really excited. Let's hear from Honorable Kelvin. Good morning, sir. Okay, we're waiting on Honorable Kevin to join us. Prior to when he does that, we need to understand Mrs. Adiola is ready with a presentation on how to use personal protective equipment, which is so very important in these times, especially seeing as schools have already resumed and exam classes are fully in session. So, Mrs. Adiola, are you with us, ma'am? Mrs. Adiola? Adiola? Mrs. Adiola, can you hear us, ma'am? Mrs. Adiola, can you hear us, ma'am? Hello, Mrs. Adiola, are you there?
Mrs. Adiola, are you there?
Okay, while we're waiting for Mrs. Adiola to join us, perhaps we should just have general comments and reactions from anybody who is in the virtual chat room. Remember, by raising your hand in the virtual chat room, or just in the chat, and we'll be able to take your comments here as well. For those of you who are watching from home, you can call in live. We're very, very excited to hear from you. In the meantime, we are just building up to and Mrs. Kofrola Ajayi on standby for Unveiling. We'll come to you right after the Honorable Minister of Education opens the program for us officially. On ways to understand that the Honorable Minister of State for Education is not available at this time, so we're going to go straight to that individual. We're so sorry we're bringing you back on again like this. We seem to be experiencing some technical issues from this end of the Minister of Education, especially. But we're just going to go ahead since he's not here with us. So, welcome, Mr. Adeleke, and let's have the presentation. Okay, while we're waiting for Mr. Adeleke to join us, Africa, we're unveiling the Adult School Initiative today. So, what are your thoughts on how far we've come, and what people should look forward to seeing today on the program?
Well, so I think we've come very far, and it's so exciting to see the implementation of the discussions from the beginning of the program. Having to see individuals, well-meaning people, organizations, and religious houses adopt schools. It's so beautiful to see that people are willing to help in the education of these children, to ensure that they are not just left to themselves, but they are engaged to continue their curriculum in school and to keep them busy.
Okay.
Yes.
I in particular am very excited towards the virtual learning centers that we spoke about earlier in the week, and how people can adopt schools and help set up these virtual learning centers in different communities across the country. Alright, so Mr. Adeleke, are you here with us now?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I'm having a little technicality through the lights, so I'll see how I manage that. Okay, I was going to have this slide up. So, can you help me from the studio? So I can have studio. I can have studio. I can have studio. I can have studio. Okay, so I'm changing my location so I can have better illumination. But yes, the background. Okay, so the Adopt a School initiative that we are unveiling, that we're unveiling this morning, is the brainchild of Zegis Aesthetics, and it's our hope to have corporate bodies and well-meaning Nigerians buy into this scheme, and that's why I'll be introducing it to us in the course of this presentation. Okay, so it's a brainchild of as a background, we know that not every society, not every community has the privilege of continuing their education in times like this. And so we want to have a unified approach that gives everybody the privilege of having education at this particular time. And so the Adopt a Scheme initiative, or the Adopt a School, wants to have a system to connect schools to concerned individuals who and organizations, religious groups, and well-meaning individuals who are now able to sponsor the setting up of a virtual learning center in their community. All right, next slide, please. Okay, we can go to the next one. We can go to the next one. So the scope, we want to talk about the scope of the project and then what it would require. So let's go to scope. No, can we go to the scope? That's the next slide. Okay, I think we're having a little. Okay, so without the slide, the scope would involve. Is it coming up? Okay. So the first thing that we'll need to do now is to identify the number of schools that are within an area. Okay, so we are looking at the total number of secondary schools, primary schools, either they are government, either they are religious, or they are private. Okay, and then I'll find out what level of infrastructure that they have that they are able to leverage on at this point. And this process will now involve us looking at the areas where it would be key to have this infrastructure deployed. Okay? Okay, can we go to the next one?
Yeah, Denise.
Okay, can we go to B? A is to identify. The second slide. Okay. It's not working. Okay, I'll use my own screen. I hope you can all hear me. Okay, so at the point where we are, I just hope that we'll all continue. So now the second thing would now be, after identifying the schools, the second will be to carry out a need assessment for schools and to identify what's available, what's on ground, and then what needs to be provided to enable virtual learning commence. Then the third phase will now be involve contacting well-meaning individuals like organizations to provide amenities. Now, the amenities don't necessarily have to be in cash; it can be in kind. So, telecom communication companies, audiovisual production companies, and the likes who would like to provide support in kind can also fit into this initiative to facilitate the virtual learning centers in school. And then I would also go ahead to identify the things that will be needed. So things like what hand washing stations, sanitary materials, televisions, computers, internet connectivity, speakers, and all the lights are all possible items that we would need. Now, but this can will be augmented based on the infrastructures available within schools. Now, the fourth thing that we'll need to do is to now try and equip teachers with the necessary skills needed to teach children who have also been used to using traditional method. And now we also need to integrate the traditional method of teaching with online teaching. And so this process will be ongoing through the duration of the program, to also see that teachers learn to embrace this system more and more, and then incorporate it even beyond this particular scenarios that we have because of the coronavirus. Okay, now the strategy would be, we'll walk through training teachers, and then they will also now go back to train the students on their own point. Learning will ensure that children in disadvantaged because private schools are taking the lead in this, because children metropolis have access to digital resources, so they are not necessarily held back when it comes to really lagging behind, and so it's our responsibility to see that we carry them along. Okay, so now to mention that a lot of people might want to know what the benefits of this would be. Now, the first one of the major benefits is collaboration. Okay, when we spoke about this on Tuesday, the speaker mentioned that in learning there is also some form of cohesion that is needed between learners and then also their teacher. So this gives them the opportunity, because it's beyond just learning in your house in front of your digital device, or your phone or a smartphone or a computer. You also now have the opportunity to be in a location with other children, and so just by interaction you are able to you have teachers who are able to evaluate the children's progress, and then you also have peer learning, where you learn from each other, and then somebody who has a little bit more information is able to share with the class, and that way we have a more holistic level of development around. Okay, so another benefit would be that there is wider knowledge gained based on the interaction. Then we also now have regulation, self-regulation. So everybody who comes into that learning center has the privilege of learning at their own pace. So it's not necessarily like the traditional system where we have a scheme of work and certain benchmarks that we must hit before examination. At this point in time, the child can learn a subject today, go back home, implement it, and still keep on implementing it, and he can always come back and receive more information on that particular subject, as opposed to the traditional system where he learns 10 or 5 subjects in a day. But this we don't have we don't want to combine a child with so much information in a day. So the information is going to be compressed and served in such a way that it's entertaining and engaging within a short period of time, where the attention span can be captured effectively. And so that is one of the major benefits that this would provide. Okay, and one other thing is that it will help facilitate contact with the children, even though contact has to be reduced because of safety measures. But definitely we cannot deny the fact that learning is fostered where there is contact. Okay, and then in all of this, it's a more relaxed form of education where children can actually assess themselves and they can see their level of progress and development. And this in itself gives children a sense of achievement. Okay, now I want to talk about the equipment that will be necessary or that will be needed. So, speaking to resource persons and well-meaning Nigerians who would want to partner with this initiative, who want to be a part of this initiative, we want to tell you the equipment that we will need. Okay, so equipment such as televisions, computers, okay, hand washing stations, like I mentioned earlier, hand sanitizers, gloves, face masks, and the rest are necessary so that we can ensure the sanitary conditions of the venue before the children come in, while they are there, and then after they leave. Then the computers that will be necessary will be used to connect with the internet, used to download resources and stream video sessions from remote locations. And then we'll also have a teacher present in the virtual learning center who will be able to carry out an evaluation on the students and also send feedback based on how well the students are able to receive the materials and the resources that we are provided in their center. And that way, we are now able to get real-time data as to how to improve on the system. Okay, and then that will now lead us to teacher training. It is very important for the teachers who will be caregivers, who would be facilitators of this program, to be trained. They need to learn how to use the equipment, how to learn how to use the scheme, how to adapt their traditional means of teaching into this particular era. It is not the best of times, but we have to make the best use of the time that we have. And so teacher training has to be factored into our strategy, and that would lead us to having more technology compliant teachers in the future, and that is going to be a win for everyone in the way. And I'd like to see the impact of this program, say 5 to 10 years, when these centers are now opened up to be self-paced learning centers where children can develop in their areas of interest with or without the presence of their teachers or the school curriculum. Because in the end, really, education is meant to point students and everybody who is a learner in a direction that they will go. And then in the end, when they are able to master things for themselves, they are able to now learn at their own pace, because learning never ends. I mean, everybody still learns every day. And so we want to have that level of involvement with the communities where virtual centers can run on their own and still run concurrently with the traditional system. But with this, we would need the support of everyone who is available, who can hear this, needs to buy into this initiative and look at an area where the organization is better suited to provide services for the education of the future generation of Nigeria. So with this, I hope that we all, in case we have any questions, I'm still available to answer them, and we'll see how best we can implement this within the shortest period of time. Thank you.
Sir, we are grateful for that contribution.
All right, Mr. Leke, it's been interesting. Please, as you have said, you're there to take questions. We're going to come to the questions part right after our second guest speaker has come on. So we'd like to bring on Mrs. Koforola Ajayi, after which we will then take all the questions that I'm sure our participants in which we can't wait to address to you. We do have some contributions coming in already. We'd like to welcome Dr. Udenga, who we also see in the chat room. We have some contributions. We're going to be taking all of that after Mrs. Koforola Ajayi. Good morning, ma'am.
You can hear me loud and clear.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. All right. It's a pleasure to be back here, and it's a beautiful day in my city, and I believe it's a beautiful day in Nigeria. Well done, Mr. Adeleke. Thank you very much for the enlightenment on the expectations and the requirements of the virtual learning center. We spoke about some of the things on Wednesday,
and it's I'm actually happy to see certain steps have been taken. First speaker, Mrs. Bankole, I think. Sorry if I missed your name, madam. I really, really appreciate that actions are already being put in motion, because it's no use if we set up initiatives, if we create programs and we don't put them into implement them. So well done, guys. Thank you to the host and to the presenters. Well, I would appreciate if you could help me present my slide, because I'll speak as a teacher. That's all I know how to do. And a teacher will always be a teacher, irrespective of where we find ourselves or what we find ourselves doing. Could you please help with my slide? And please keep my face away. Just stick with my slides, all right? If you're having challenges, let me know. Thank you. All right then. Adopting a school initiative. We're talking of strategies and key deliverables. What strategies? What deliverables? Who delivers the strategies? Who delivers this things that we're talking about? That brings me to the word stakeholders. On Wednesday, I did mention that every single person in the society is a stakeholder. Be you a student, be you a parent, be you a teacher, government. And I like what I saw in the comment section where somebody said it's not just teachers and students, parents. Yes, without the support of the parents, the initiative is as good as dead in the waters. So my next slide, please. The next slide just says collaboration. We all work together to achieve this aim. We know that students are at home. Only the exam classes are in school in Nigeria. Just the other day, I was looking at the alumni page of my alma mater, and we saw our students resuming its Vegicola with face masks, with that social distancing between them. And there I was thinking, okay, this is good. We're taking steps. But what happens to JS1, JS2, SS1, and SS2 students? Do they get to miss out on the learning? I would say this kind of initiative will act as a bridge, as a gap to that effect. So we all work together. It doesn't matter if you're in the diaspora or you are on ground in the country. Our aim, and everybody is happy in the long run. How do we collaborate? Next slide, please. Thank you. Next slide. Can you hear me? Thank you. So, we're saying we want a virtual learning center. Virtual learning center will address the students on ground. And there's something I was glad when I heard them say blended learning. I did some blended learning a couple of weeks before school closed in July, where I had some students in class, students who normally would not engage when they are at home. Every time we asked them to come online for the lesson, they would not come online. So what we did was just get in touch with parents, and the parents said, you know what? They are better off being in school. They sent them to school. So there we are. You're teaching students online, and you have some in class. That way, you have them working together. There's that sense of, yes, I'm in school because I can see my classmates in school. And we actually had some students saying, oh, they are so lucky. Why can't I be in school with them? So what does it contribute? How does this? Okay, thank you. How does this improve schools and local communities? Who is there? If, for example, Zguest has said, we're creating this initiative and they will start with a pilot school. If after the first 3-4 months, and the pioneers exit the scene, what is going to happen? Who is going to carry on? Is it a case of we start something, it's just dead after a couple of trials, and are there people watching you? One thing I learned is good leaders are not born. The perfect leader is not born. They are created. That a good leader starts learning from the very time he starts to nurse on the mother's chest until the very day he or she dies. Who are the students we're talking about here? We are not used as a society. If the children in primary one, the children in secondary school, university are not being developed to carry on with the society after our generation has left, after the generation before us has left the same. I'd like you to go to the next slide because I have an example to show you. I know there's a delay, so could you please move on to the next slide because I want to talk about something. Well, while we wait for that to come up, in the month of July, in the peak of the tiredness, of the bone weariness, of the deadness of the head of teaching virtually, there from the blues, you have something sent out. I asked the question that what is it that you do? Who is watching and learning? The kids are watching, they are learning. To the right of that slide, you can see two mails. These are emails from students to their teacher. Students who would rather sit at home playing on PSP, playing games or watching movies, being engaged in their learning. And at the long run, what do? They send an email. Yes, we know it's challenging. We know we are a pain. Funny enough, the two mails come from students I've taught for 2 years. I think I started teaching them when they were in year 7, as soon as they got into my school. So we've gotten used to each other. And we're thinking, yes, as a teacher, I have made this contribution. As an individual, I've made this contribution. As a parent, as a stakeholder, as a person from a different culture, a person from a different background, I have made a contribution, and these kids are watching, they are learning. This is from virtual learning, not students who were in class way back in January or February. This is July, towards the end of the school term. And I put the one on the left-hand side there. I just couldn't help celebrating that I'm Black. I just couldn't help celebrating that I'm Nigerian, I'm African, and I'm Black. At the bottom, there are two students in that circle. One, the second girl, she is Yoruba, she's from Nigeria. And it made my heart bubble when I opened Twitter yesterday and I saw it there. In the course of virtual learning, in the course of the challenges of COVID-19, this is not an exam year child. This is a child who is just going to year 9. Okay, can I continue? Sorry about that. I guess someone somewhere was just talking. And a teacher in me would definitely want to speak. Please, please, please keep yourself muted, except you need to speak. It would save us all a lot of pain and headache. So participants, kindly mute yourself. I beg you in the name of God. So as I was saying, every little contribution we make as stakeholders go a long way. The kids are watching, the kids are learning, and the kids are also, they are developing, they are evolving with this new normal. We do say we are in unprecedented times. We don't know how long it's going to last for. Just the other day, we're being told to expect a second wave of the outbreak. And immediately we're thinking, what do we need to do? Is this our new normal? And if you look on the slide, I put a red bit there, that we have a part to play. It is our responsibility. We cannot leave it to just one person. There are parents on this platform today. We have politicians here. We've got lawmakers here. We've got well-meaning Nigerians on this platform. You have something to contribute. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it gives us results like what you see on the screen. Children making progress. You've done your best. You've done a very good job. And yes, the kids are watching. Yes, every little effort goes a long way. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. I really would have loved to present myself, but it's a good thing. Good. So what strategies are we talking about here? Having a virtual platform is not enough. Having the center or the teachers in there is not enough. We need to set our priorities right. We know for the next 1 year, we have a new normal. Beyond that 1 year, we're not sure. But what is this priority? Proactive teaching and instruction. So at this point, I would be addressing proprietors of schools. I'll be addressing teachers and school management bodies. It's the onus falls on us to make sure that the teachers we have are teaching explicitly. Whatever it is we're teaching, like I said on Wednesday, cut off the nonsense, cut off the unimportant things. For example, you have somebody teaching you and drawing a butterfly on the board. It's no use. The child is not going to grow up to draw and label a butterfly. No, you need to focus on the important things. What are the things that are contemporary? Things that a child will move on to use in the next phase of their learning. Be direct. Be clear about your aim. Be clear. If you're using PowerPoint presentation, for example, it's got to be very, very, very simple. Children cannot stand what we call cognitive overload. Even as an adult, it gets to a point where you just get worn out because of what you've seen and you're discouraged. No, this is too much work. I don't want to do it. So we have that responsibility to simplify, to be direct in our instruction. Curriculum development. I was asked on Wednesday if there was a need for the country to develop a new curriculum. And I'm thinking, if we had to change the curriculum every year, we see ourselves as being reactive or being proactive? So I would say, think about that. Rather than changing curriculum, we can adopt the curriculum to suit the needs of the time. Just make sure you have details. You're looking at kids in JS1, JS2. What is the aim of what you're teaching them? The aim is for them to pass their JSSCE. So what is covered in the JSSCE? Go straight into the point. If it's exam skills you want them to develop at that point in time, focus on it. We don't need to start teaching them about the about women's rights. I remember learning that in social studies, but to date, I haven't been able to apply that to anything per se. It's not a wasted knowledge, but it's not applicable, so to say. Then, improving student engagement. A lot of the kids are rather interested in earning 85 million from Big Brother Nigeria. They are rather interested in going to Yahoo because they know that they will make better money rather than sitting in a virtual classroom or being honed with work by a teacher. So for us as stakeholders, we need to create ways that can help us engage the students, ways to make the students want to come to class, want to engage with the work. It's not something you learn in one day, but it's something we develop with time. The first thing is we need to establish a relationship with students. When you have that relationship with a child, the fact that the child knows that my teacher has expectations of me is enough to make the child want to engage with learning. My teacher, for example, I do know people who taught me, and I still say Mrs. Shodainde, she was a fierce one. When I say fierce, my schoolmates would understand. But every day I say she's made the most impact on me. The fact that Mrs. E.O. Shodainde is right there watching me while I'm at home is enough to make me want to engage with my learning, because I know she has my well-being at heart. Then, transitioning back to the new normal. From the new normal, we know that this is not going to last forever. It's a situation we have to respond to. Not every school is able to provide virtual learning right there and then. I'm thinking of if maybe my father's village, for example, they've got this community school. I actually can see the school in my head. And I tell you, what they used to date is a blackboard. How would you teach contemporarily with a blackboard? So we're saying, okay, if we have these virtual learning centers in such communities, and the kids engage with new resources, new materials, a child that's never seen a YouTube video or presentation before sees it. Wow, this is new learning. This is new. Is school as beautiful as this? So why have I been running away from school? We make this available to the kids, and we're saying, okay, at the end of this new normal, 3-4 years from now, when COVID is finally swept behind us, what do? Do we go back to what used to be, or do we carry on from the platform we have created? This is something we need to work on. And I will appreciate if those in government, I think I heard something about the chairman of a local government being really interested in this initiative. This is something we would appreciate that you consider. It's not enough to have it for today. What happens after today? We need to start setting priorities for the future. We should change the story. The story definitely will not remain the same. And for you to change the story, these are things you need to consider. Just to say, guys, I would appreciate contributions, and pull me back if I'm going too fast. I wouldn't want to reel through the slides. So raise your hand to the host. I don't know how this is done in this room, but do let me know if there's something you would want clarified or contributions you want to make. Thank you. Can I have the next slide, please? Next slide. Thank you. All right. Future shapers. Don't go saying because I'm teaching from space, I exist in a world of my own, or I exist in El Dorado. That's why I'm speaking like this. No, these are things that they are being done by people, and they will continue to be done. So who says we cannot do them? If you want to be a future shaper, you need to learn to run towards the noise. Do not run away from the noise. And why do I say that? If every one of us were to run towards the noise, no one will be scared. No one will be overwhelmed, because we are working together. It's, the force of unity. Imagine an army of ants coming towards you. I'm very sure you will not even try saying you want to kill them, because there will be too many of them. So when we say run towards the noise, you never know what lies there. You can't be very sure, but definitely you are not in the same place. Our kids are not in the same position. The child that went into COVID in March, that went into lockdown in March, will not come out in 2022, 2023, the same child, because the child has been able to make something of the time. What we need to do, we need to tackle what is important. What are our action plans? As a school, what are your action plans? What do you intend to achieve within this period? Are you there to help the child emotionally, psychologically, academically? Are you there to support the child and the parents? Because I've seen a lot in my few years in school. The school is actually a safe haven for some of the students. Imagine a child in a home with 5 wives and maybe 20 children. Every time the child wakes up, it's like, oh my God, what sort of hell is this? Why did these people bring me to this world? The child wants to sleep. Everybody is struggling for space. And the child knows, once I get to school, this is my own place. I can be free. I can roam around. So we're saying, set your action plans in line with the different needs that you think need to be made. Then, model and plan. How do you do this? You need to create a checklist. When you have your checklist, you're working, okay? For the next 3 months, we want to achieve things. And at the end of that 3 months, you're checking it off. Which of this have we achieved? Which strategy did we put in place? And how much? Because if you have not checked anything off on that list, your list is as good as a white elephant project. So we're saying a good strategy is create your model, plan, and keep checking, keep ticking things off. Make sure things happen. If things are not happening, it's something we do a lot of in Nigeria. It's a lot of things. We do a lot of that in Nigeria. We just say, okay, yes, this is my time. This is our season. I set up this project. And 3 months down the line, nobody hears anything about it. We cannot afford that to do that in the education of children, with the mental, the psychological, and physiological well-being of children. We cannot take that chances. So we need to make it happening. We use trackers. Data is something that a sizable number of Nigerians are finding their way around quite easily. And I can say this with all authority because I know people who work with data, that data will work for us. Let us set up trackers. What are we doing? What schools have succeeded in doing this? What have they done? How well have they done it? Which of these things can we move on? There's something we call RAG. You know, you red, amber, and green, what you have in your trackers. If it's red, what do I need to do to move it to amber? If it's green, it is secure. That means I can teach it to others. We can implement it at other levels. So trackers are very important. And the next thing is, the world is so big, there is nothing new under the sun. If you must achieve success, if you must shape the future, you need to go ahead and learn. Who has done it before? There are case studies, there are situations. The other day, you know, I love social media. There was something on the social media of students in China in a cocoon. You know, that they were learning. School was going on as normal. It's unfortunate they brought COVID to us, but their own life is carrying on like nothing has happened. They have done this. What is it they have done to surmount the problem? How can we adopt this as a country? What do we need to do, seeing that we are from different geographical locations, we are from different cultural backgrounds, we have different views of things, but how can we adopt this into our system to shape the future of our children? And like I say, you must run towards the noise, because if you want to solve things, you have to face them square on. Next slide, please. Thank you. Data, I already mentioned that. One key strategy for schools is you need to make sure you have data. If there is no data in place, start building this up. For example, what was the achievement of students before COVID? What things did we put in place to get this done? Okay, how can we make improvements on this? For example, a child who I was never a 9 student in school, except in Yoruba and health science. My friends will tell you that. But the data that the teachers had, I remember one of my teachers saying, "Come on, girl, you had F9 in maths. That was in SS1 first term." And because of the data, the teacher was able to work with me to improve me to the point that I got my C in the WAEC because there was data. So we need to make sure we have data as a system. What do we do with it? What does it show? Let's work with that. Another thing is attendance and submission. We're creating virtual learning centers. We have blended learning, some are learning from cyberspace, so much like in a classroom of 30 pupils, for example, how many of them do turn up to each lesson? Do you have a record of that? What are you doing to foster improved attendance? For those who do attend and who turn up to class, what is it we're doing to make sure they are submitting? It's got to do with engagement. We need to engage the kids. If university or secondary school, a child will always be a child. Then you're thinking, what's the worst case scenario? We always have to think about that. What's the worst that can happen if we have these virtual learning centers? What's the worst that can happen if things are working for us? What's the worst that can happen if we do not have these virtual learning centers? So are you doing a weighing of the pros and cons, and it is necessary risk assessment. A risk assessment is very important for anything, any oriented person. Risk assessment, please. Then see yourself as more than a person. If you are a teacher, you are not just a teacher. Think as a student. Think, what is the student expecting? What is the parent expecting? What will the child, what will the school head be thinking? What is it that the school head is going through at this point in time? I will give an example. At the start of this program, we had technical glitches. We had people, talking in the background. We had people who could not access the platform. You're thinking, if I was in the shoes of this person, what would I do? What would I need to do? So some people might call it empathy, but I just say it's the teacher in you. Everybody is a teacher. It's just the way you make use of your skill that matters, or that differentiates you and sets you apart. And I think I did say this before. When school returns, what would you be doing as a school? Not as a student now, as a school. What do you plan to do? As a government, what is it we intend to do? What we will be setting in place to make sure there is continuity? Because the worst thing you could do to a child is to destabilize the child. The worst thing you could do to a child is you give the child red now, and the next minute you say, no, that is orange. No, I want you to do this. The child just, loses total interest in it. So to be a solution provider again and again, you need to make sure you look at challenging situations, problems as tough decisions that just need to be attended to. I like Robert Schuller, when he said that decisions are waiting to be made. Don't see problems for that. And that's my allergies. You see, I chose that because a moth eats into clothes. A moth eats into your wool. And we're saying, you can't be in the water and you're like, oh, who farted? No, there is no room for that. So pardon my pun, all right? So we're looking at this. Don't blame others. It's not for us to blame COVID-19. Yes, COVID-19 is a reality. What are we doing about it? Do not get things off the shelf. Don't just say, okay, because this person is doing it, I'm doing it. Is it tested? As it's proven successful? Don't create bottlenecks for yourself. And the latest fad is, as soon as we embrace this virtual learning, there will be no need for teachers. I can bet my life on it. One profession that will never run out is teaching. So the teachers amongst us who always feel, no, if we embrace virtual learning, we will not have a job again. No, say that to a service provider, but not a teacher, because a robot would never be able to teach as well as a teacher in the classroom. Nothing beats the classroom. And not just that, it's a teacher that will prepare the so-called resources to be delivered in these virtual centers or classroom. And there are times when we need to meet specific needs. Blended learning. Some children do not understand well when they are being spoken to by a third person or someone they don't know. They want someone they are familiar with. So there's someone that a teacher they know explaining me that, oh, now I get it, miss. Oh, thank you, sir. So there are lots of allergies, things that you need to cut off. There's only so much I can say. For example, absence of systems. Don't say because there are no systems, it will not work. Put systems in place. Start from the scratch. Even if you have to start with paper, do it. After all, the greatest accountants started with the allergies. Next slide, please. Next slide. I've talked for so long. Session. Okay, I didn't want to bring this up. This is for teachers. You have non-negotiables. It's 100%. It's either you're getting it right the whole way or you're not getting it right. If you have 99.9% attainment, no, you've not done it right. Classwork is important. Homework is important. And behavior is paramount to our learning. If we do not have the good behavior from the teachers, from the school proprietor, from the non-teaching staff of the school, as well as from the kids, our learning is just a waste. Give me the best lesson and the worst class. And I'll tell you, it's the worst lesson I would ever deliver. And as we do this, it's not something we're familiar or no, we know it, but we don't do a lot of it. Where we come from, praise, 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 appreciate little that is being done around you. If a school has done it well, praise them, appreciate them. If the kids are doing well, appreciate them. Let them know they can even do better. And when work is done, don't let's get caught up in the trap of, oh, I'm just doing it because they said we should do it. You need to assess the work. You need to let the kids know when they bring in this work, I am looking at it. If you've completed it, I've marked it, and this is your feedback. If you've not completed it, I mark it down, and straight away, I'm getting in touch with your parents. God help you to have parents such as mine. That will be the death of you for that day. And quick turnaround is important for us. When we say this is what we want to hear forever, but the kids will be here for generations to come. When we set priorities, we need to make sure we achieve things right there and then. Don't waste time. Progress updating systems need to be put in place in schools, so this can be passed on to the education guiding body are finding difficult to work on in our country is because there is no transmission of information. If you have progress updating systems in schools, we know that, okay, a local government can adopt it and say, okay, based on this, we want all the schools to use this. And before you know it, we have a national database which we can use, and that will inform for further curriculum building in our country. And I would say that should be about the last slide. Or is there anyone? Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Sorry, presenter. Yes. What did I miss? I've been speaking for the past 28 to 30 minutes. What did I miss? What question would you have for me? What contributions do you have? That is what this segment is all about. I'm done. Thank you for listening to my rant.
Thank you very, very much, Ma.
It was indeed quite the talk. We're very, very excited, and I mean, a lot of the things that you talked about pretty much covered all the bases. You talked about the involvement of teachers, the involvement of parents, the involvement of stakeholders at all levels. We're really, really excited to hear your contributions, Ma. Thank you. We're going to be opening up the chat room to more